Share my screen. All right. Welcome, everybody, to your Monday lighting critique. We've got Forrest has an update on an animated shot. Forrest, where did you get this from? This is the first time seeing this, I think.
This was one of the ones on Fabio's, his images, or his animations.
I'm sorry, say that again?
But also cold.
So, yeah, the first guy who put in the Discord channel.
Oh, yeah.
Who submitted animation. This was at the end of his reel.
Oh, got it. Yes. Yeah, you're totally right. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, this is a fun one. Okay, so out of the gate, first thing that I noticed is the oranges and the reds are very saturated, both on his skin and on the feet of the bird. I think we can pull back on that a little bit. I saw you had some really great reference that you had pulled in. That's working like really, really well. Let's go back. In fact, let's go back over to that real quick. I had it. Let's see, I've got it in Photoshop here, actually. Hold on. All right. So, like, taking a look at this. So, like, this, man, a lot of Leonardo DiCaprio today. There is, light coming in this way. We've got light coming in this way. It's like very warm, very soft light on the bird itself. It's interesting because, yeah, I guess that one has the yellow, the black beak, but most of them have like a yellow that goes into a warmer like reddish tip. But these look really good. And then in terms of the overall mood, yeah. So the biggest thing with the overall mood is that warm color, is that overall softness, and you're getting that. It's just that the skin and feet are just going a little bit too strong on the redness of it. Sorry, let me get that down. There we go. In terms of the lighting itself, I think that we can do a few things. Number one is I think that we can put more of this background in shadow. I think that it feels like there's some sort of ceiling, roof, something overhead above them. And I think we can use at least something like that to cast more shadow back here to allow their brighter values to pop forward. In terms of the lighting on the characters themselves, is I do think we can go more in with fill values here. I think that like in some of this stuff, the key to fill ratio is a little bit higher or a little bit more on the fill side. So I think we can get a little bit more, especially like in something like this. I think we can get a little bit more in there.
Cool. I can definitely do that.
Yeah. And then it's a lot of it too is going to be about getting like a little bit of, after we darken back here, it'll just be a matter of getting like a little bit of a rim light to get the character, or more like a kick really, to get the character to kind of separate out a little bit. And then, yeah, maybe depth of field on the background too will help. It's just that there's some like very sharp lines and like areas where there's a lot of contrast, like the dark windows versus the bright edges here, that are like a little bit distracting and wanting to push our eye back there a little bit more. And so I think just blurring that slightly and then getting that in a little bit more shadow will really help us like stay in the foreground.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, let's hop on into some of the still images here. So, let's see, we've got Dani. We'll start with you. I'll do it something differently. I'll go down my vertical list of people here. Dani, so we've got your day version and your evening version, and I agree that the brick looks like the style of the brick texture looks a lot better. I think there can be more either normal or bump or something in there to get it to kind of to feel to the areas in between the brick to fall back a little bit more, like the mortar versus the brick itself. It just feels a little too smooth, but overall that style looks really good. This one's looking a lot better. Like overall, I think it's really starting to come together. I do think. So we've got the light coming in here. So this is an interesting one to me, like this hard shadow here from the chair, because the key light doesn't fully get down into it, right? Like the key light stops a little bit short, but and even the key light has a softer feel to it than this. So something with a small radius is causing that light, and I would like to soften that quite a bit, because also it's a very prominent shadow.
It's a weird direction.
It's a weird direction, and also like when you see something that's like So the shadows aren't things; they're just absence of light, really, right? So like, that means that there's a lot more light shining here than here, but we're not seeing more light on top of this versus the side. I guess like it's a weird direction of it where we're not feeling the intensity of a light that would cause a shadow like that. But so I would just look into what's causing that. But I do want to focus in on some of the really good things, which is like that top-down skylight starting to look really good and feel really nice, and it's creating some like bounce into the space a little bit. I still feel like there might be a little bit too much light bleed here in the foreground from some other stuff, because it really all it is now it's more vertical light coming down and just kind of coming through this window. So I'm fine with it being like in this region here. It's just some of this stuff, especially like between this pocket and this pocket, like that should be a little bit darker back there. All except for, I mean, like it's like this works where there's light bouncing up that way, but anything like down in here should feel a little bit darker than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's starting to really, like, you can feel it, right? Like it's starting to feel more like an exteriorly, I don't think that's a word, exterior light source illuminating an interior space through like natural light. It's starting to really, because like where the key light is hitting directly, like these values look really good. They're right on that edge of blowing out, which is nice. And like a little bit there, like you feel the intensity, you feel like the sunlight of it all, and then the secondary bounce is working really well. So there is that one. We got your night version. I would try and get. Can you get the brick in here too?
Yeah, that's now that we like the brick, I'm gonna implement it as well.
I think that would be good. And then I feel like this one's pretty good. Maybe a little bit too much blue right here. There's like a weird haze right in there. And then maybe just soften the edges of the glow on the candles. It's a little tight, like it's a little like perfect, and maybe just soften that a touch. Does anybody else have any feelings on this one? Silence is good. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
So I think, other than that, I think this one's really good.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so Forrest. So next up we got Kat. So Kat, we have the stills from yours. One of the biggest things that was one, two. So this was the later one. Wait, which one's the update? This one? Do you remember?
Those are all the updates, but there's the one that's probably a little brighter. That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, let's do it the other way. I actually
one's just 4K. They're all the recent ones. One's just 4K, and the rest are low res.
Oh, I see.
So I just put a 4K one so you could see that, like on the neck, that it wasn't as spotty as it looks like in the low res.
Got it. So this one that has a little more brightness, I like better. Whichever one that ends up being.
Yeah, that's the new one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like what you've done with the shirt a lot. That helps out. That helps out considerably. Some other things that I'm looking in, it's more like in these poses, like this pose specifically. It's just the value of his eye is very similar to his skin, and I want to make that brighter.
Okay.
Like I want to feel, because there's definitely like a value difference between eye white and skin tone. But you can actually do that pretty well with, like, if you have it in the comp as a crypto matte, you can just grab that eye white and brighten it a little bit, and just kind of get that to, but
I wonder
just kind of get that to stand out as a different tone than the skin itself, and same thing with the teeth. Just the teeth feel a little gritty, and again, it's more about creating dynamic values in the face. More than more than he should have bright white teeth. It's just that everything's kind of tonally similar, and so you want to create some value differences in there.
I think think I know what happened because I had that brighter, but I went back a couple iterations. So the iteration I used may have been the one before I fixed that.
Oh, got it.
So I'll just go back and fix it again.
Got it. But yeah, I think other than that, I think we're in pretty good shape. Are we able to do a render test of the whole animation?
Yep, I can probably have that. If you want a low res version, I could probably have that out in a day or two. I'll just render it while I'm sleeping and working.
Okay. Yeah. No, make it work while you're sleeping. Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on this before we?
Does the skin look better? I got bump on the skin, so does that? I mean, I think the shadows and stuff, it looks just more realistic and less.
Yeah, I'm seeing some value change in the lit areas, which is like it's brighter around this edge and a little bit less in here, which is what we were going for. Before it was very similar. It was like either in light or not, and having this variation in there really, really helps.
And the lamp's where you want it? The desk lamp?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on with that one. All right. So we got Brenda, Diana, Forrest. Forrest we did, Diana, and Brenda. Brenda, do we have anything for you today? I don't think so, right? Or do we?
Yeah, hey.
Hi.
I just uploaded the last version, I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
Let's see.
I did it on Friday, actually.
Oh, right. Let's go back up. Maybe I mislabeled it because I thought I remember seeing yours too. Whoa. Well, I think I just went way too far. Let's start down here. Sorry, this can get squirrely. Give me just a sec. Not do it that way. Sometimes it does that when I'm scrolling up. It'll jump back like, oh, you want to go back like 3 weeks? Like, no, I want to go back slightly a little bit. There's a jump to present. Let's do that. All right.
A little further.
Sorry, Diana's like, right there it is. Yes.
It was only like the change of the background saturation.
Oh, cool. Yeah, this looks a lot better. Yeah, that's feeling really good. All right. Yeah, the leather on the wing looks really good. I mean, like, honestly, I think it looks really good. I just would add I would just make like in the corner, just in this very corner here, and then up here, just make that a little darker. Just like a little bit of a vignette on it. Don't do it down here because there's like it's lit there and it would just kind of feel a little janky. But like this value of darkness I like, and just trying to and pushing those into those two corners. But I think the character itself looks great.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Nice.
That looks really, really good.
Cool, thank you.
Not a problem. Is there anything else you wanted to do with it before I... Because I think you're...
No, I think if you have no other notes.
Yeah, I mean, you did a really challenging thing in here with the cane, the jewel, or whatever that is, and the hand. Like, these... Like, if you took away the specularity and the roughness and just left it as like an albedo or a diffuse pass, these colors are very, very similar, but they're very distinctly different. Like you can easily pick out which one is which in these three. Like that's not an easy thing to do. Like this jewel looks nice and like smooth and reflective. There's little bumpiness and like little breakup on the roughness here, and then the hand feels different. Like that's really, really well done. So good job.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. All right, Ashley, you are Ashley G is here. So we have the previous version, and then we have an update here, and I think that we're getting a little bit more of the warmth in there, and I think that's looking really well. I thought of something that I think that could help. It's the wall and the windowsill are both gray, and I think that we can add some paint color to the room, and then make the windowsill like white or something, so it's a little bit different. Like the fact that this is the same color as this is the same color as this, I think we can break that up a little bit. So I would like to maybe paint the room a warmer tone of something, and then this windowsill here, if we made that a little cleaner, whiter, like that could pick up a lot of the brightness from outside. So like the way that this is getting nice and bright, the way that the skull is here, we're not really seeing that on the windowsill, and that's actually even closer to the light source and would actually be about that. So I think if we make that white, make the room warmer, it'll really help the overall thing feel a little bit warmer in its whole. What do you think about that?
I think that is an awesome idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just a Monday bad idea for me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I said I think that was like the one thing that it was missing, and I like could not figure out what I should change.
Yeah, and
but I knew it was something.
Yeah, because I was looking at it, and I was like, it's definitely like if you look at the individual components, like if I just kind of close my eyes and focus it on just the table, it's like that feels warm. Like everything else, but I was like the whole in its entirety, it feels a little, and it was like it's the wall. So I think try that for the next iteration, and then we can go from there. But I think like it's like this plant, the variation in here, the broad specks, the translucency, all of that is working really really well. And then maybe let me see. I also want to see if possible, just because we're so close to it, a little bit more. Like a displacement type of, or normals or bump or something on these edges of the wood. I want them to feel a little bit deeper, if possible.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I would do that for the next iteration, then we'll see where we are from there. But that's good.
Thank you.
Mike, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about the shadow in the skull's eyes compared to the basket. The skull is a thicker material, I imagine, and it seems like the shadow is lighter even though there's less light hitting it.
Yes. That's a very good question. I think that the shadow on the skull feels pretty good. That's a good point. I think, yeah, maybe there should be some more light penetrating this. Right? Because it's like kind of wicker and there's like a light breakup on that. I wonder if we couldn't maybe put a little fill light in there. Or something like a little bounce light, like a little, maybe even a disc light in there to kind of bounce some extra light up in there. I think that would work. Yeah.
And question part B: should the bottom eye be darker than the top one? Because the top, I see it like since there should be a cavity there that the light can go through. Mm-hmm. Should the bottom one be darker?
Like this eye be a little bit darker?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't necessarily. That doesn't bother me as much. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
But you're saying because there's this area here that goes through to the eye. Actually, that doesn't go through to the eye. I don't know skulls. I don't know how faces work. But I think that's just. I don't know what that's for.
Jaw. So. That little part is the temple that connects to the jaw.
Okay.
So it is a cavity, but it doesn't connect to the actual eye socket itself.
There it is.
But I think what like at the very bottom, I think I can make it a little bit darker, like at the edge, because there would be like a little bit of shadow, but maybe not too much. But I can see like probably be a little bit darker.
Yeah. I don't think it's too much. Yeah, I'm so glad that my wife, my doctor wife, was not in the room with me and had to listen to me fumble through what a face does. She's like, "No, you idiot! A temple does not connect to your eye socket. That would make no sense." Could be a broken skull. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, no, those are really good notes, Danny. Thank you. All right.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. So Justin, we've got you up as well. So I think this looks really good. It looks very dapper. I think his hair could go a touch darker, especially in the shadow area over here. It's very, very close. Like it would just be a matter of, like, maybe not that. It might be okay actually. Now that I start to darken it, I don't like it as much as I thought I would. Let's see. Maybe a touch darker. Yeah, that might be that would be the only thing. And then inside the ear, there's something. It almost looks like dusty yellow green, like in here. And I'm not quite sure what that is. It might just be earwax on him or something. But it almost feels like I'm wondering if. Yeah, that might be another one that might be okay. And then the only last thing is the eye-dings are a little, they're I like the way that this one is like right there. I would just make that one on the same spot, because right now it's kind of broken up between the iris and sclera, and I like it right here, that right on the edge between the iris and pupil. But other than that, this is looking good. This looks like Mr. Bean's driver, or like his high school yearbook photo. All right, cool. All right, let's go through. We've got a handful of others. Unless anybody has any questions before I start jumping into some other ones. Good. Okay, cool. So we've got Austin here. Austin, this is lovely. I like this reference a lot, and I think this is working out really well. The two things I would like to see. Number one, there's a lot of softness in this. Like you can look at the shadows back here; they're broken up. There's a lot of just overall feeling of some soft values in there. But like this line here and some of these shadows are kind of breaking that feeling from yours. I think your colors are spot on. I think the colors look really good. I just think the overall softness could get a little softer with it. The other thing I would challenge you to do is, one of the things that's nice about this green foreground is that it's broken up with some of these like abstract, out of focus, bokeh, blurry dot backgrounds that are a little bit warmer. You don't necessarily have to do that specifically, but I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for you to put a little bit of warm light back in here to kind of allow that to pop forward a little bit. So that would be about it. But overall, like I said, I think your color is really good. There could be more specularity on it, but I'm not going to get too into that on this first assignment. But yeah, I think those are the only two things that I would change there. And then we've got Iyako. That, again, this is another Leonardo DiCaprio reference that before we started recording, we all Googled Leonardo DiCaprio young cowboy movie to figure out which one this was in. Because I was like, is this Once Upon a Time? No. In Hollywood? No. He looks very different now. So this is good. Okay, let me go ahead and pull this smaller, like a thumbnail version of this into this. Because I think there's something that I was looking at, and I was noticing this just in like the thumbnails of the two, and it's that there's a lot more red warmth in the reference than the render here. So I think what we could do is we can take this, and I would do this in your light color, but I would add more, like a little bit more red, touch more yellow, but mostly it's in the reds to kind of get up to this overall feeling, because now, like even the shadows have a warmer hue to them, and so it just kind of creates an overall warm color palette, similar to like if you've ever seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That one has like a sepia tone post process on the film that creates like this overall warmth to it, and I think there's something similar going on in your reference. So I think I would just push it a little warmer. In terms of the key position, the shaping is working really well. The beer in the glass looks, although it's defying gravity because it's like a little slanted and it's not quite going with the glass yet, but the value of it, the IOR, the color, the blah blah blah, all that looks really good. And I think it really matches the style of the character. Eye-dings are always good to get those in there, and then I'm wondering if we couldn't get a little bit, like one of the things that's really nice about this is how, if you look at the brightness of the bar versus like the top of the bar versus the side, like in the way that kind of goes dark, I think we can maybe push a little bit more brightness up here and then allow his pants and everything down here just to go a little bit darker to keep our focus up top. There's really nothing down there that we need to be focusing in on. It's really just on the characters' face and that kind of stuff. But and then the other thing, this is only if you want to, one of the things I was noticing about the reference was the way the white handle of his gun was really popping out, and like it made it's like very central and very apparent that he's, because there's something about like an old Western thing, whether or not they have their gun or not is always like part of the story, because there's always like an opportunity for a fight. And so I was wondering if it would be possible, if you want to, you don't have to, but like brightening up the metal on the gun a little bit, and just the gun overall to make it a little bit more of a story piece on this thing. But overall, really good stuff. Really, really great. All right, Danny, we got Forrest, we got Jeremy. Much better. Coming together. Like the colors on the windows. I want to see more shapes in there and these other ones to kind of break that up a little bit. These light sources down here are smart. I just want them to feel more glowy and like they're throwing more illumination on the surroundings. Right now they just feel like a bright material, and I want them to like be lights that are throwing some value and breaking up this space a little bit, like little pockets in there. And then now we're getting into the terms of the character lighting. And then yeah, because we can either go, and I think we've made the decision here. It's like, because you either want to like highlight the character's face, similar to what Iyako was doing here, like we can see the bright face over the dark background, or we can hide the face, which you're doing here, which makes the character seem more mysterious or whatever. So that seems fine. Then we got the light coming in here. I'm wondering if maybe we can get like a little bit of a rim on the character, even if it's like falsely motivated by this stuff, just to kind of get the character to separate out from the background a little bit. And then yeah, because I'm thinking that I think that would work. Because I was just thinking key to fill ratio if like this was getting too dark down here, but I think that's okay. And then at some point as well, you might, although this is tricky with this scale, I was gonna say adding a little depth of field too, a little bit of blur back there, but it would have to be really subtle. Otherwise, it'll start really look like a miniature set. But I think that would work out well. All right. So, all right, Justin, we looked at in the prom photo. Mindy, much better. That railing's looking a lot better. Softening that material worked out well. The warmth overall is looking good. Just play around with this here for a second. I'm wondering if like we've got that lifted up, but I'm just wondering if bringing the dark values down overall a little bit would help. And then do that. Start to lose a little bit of the saturation because that cranks that a little bit. And then just adding a bit of softness and diffusion overall. It's fine. Even that can probably be warmed up. Push that. Yeah. So now, versus the original. This versus like that. Just a little more darker in the blacks, a little more diffusion overall. Yeah, is anybody else seeing anything? Anyone else? I'm trying to think. There could be something else that I'm missing here, and I'm just not. I think that would be pretty good. Forrest even had some soul reference in here. But it might be. Let's see. I'm wondering if maybe, no, those are working pretty well. I was going to say the bright areas need to go a little brighter, but those are looking pretty nice and bright. Yeah, that's pretty much
In Soul, it seems to be used to kind of frame the character, where this almost is kind of guiding my eye away from the character.
Yeah, you're talking about like the shadows and stuff over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We could, that's a really good point. Yeah, because like all of everything's right there. Oh, weird. Yeah, everything's kind of focused in here. Everything's going off here. And then like, Yeah, this light is specifically to point at the cat, and then it's only kind of spotting around here. Yeah, that's a really good point. So, okay, let's do that. Let's try making some of this go into shadow a little bit. And then this does a good job of leading us here, and this does a good job of leading us here. And then maybe the rest of this could be a little bit more in shadow. And it could just be like a V that leads us down to her. Because I think this dappling in here works really well. Yeah, you're right. It's just allowing us to trail off down the street a little bit. Yeah, I think that's good.
Maybe get a little bit of dapple on the rail behind her too,
Yeah.
so it's not so bright.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like get a little break up here and here. Also, you know what? It's also like her shadow isn't casting on the pole either.
Yeah, I was wondering, but if depending on how the light angle, if it's coming from the side, but that's not really how the light's hitting her, so
Yeah.
there should be some sort of shadow on
Maybe
that
like
rail.
down here you'd see a little bit or something. I don't know. Just double check that. Make sure that that's shadowing correctly. You can always fake it too. Yeah, too. Yeah, good notes, guys. Thank you. All right, Stephanie. So we've got this one and your reference here. Again, colors are looking a little bit more saturated, a little bit more like lime green, and a little bit less of the yellow, but that's fine. The bigger thing that I want you to work on is getting this light to create a little bit of like a rim on a couple of, like you kind of see it here and definitely here, but like a little bit of rim on the sphere and then a little bit over here on the coil and on the cone as well. I don't know why I almost just forgot the name of a cone. I was like questioning whether that, I was like, oh, and I had to think, oh no, ice cream. That's what cones look like. And I would just get a little bit more rim, yeah, a little bit more influence from that light into the scene. And then perhaps darkening this back wall a little bit, if possible. Yeah, I would go with that and see where that goes. All right. Good first project, though. All right, T. We're gonna finish up with a couple of. I thought we had another one too. Oh, Alfredo. Yes. Okay. Sorry, Alfredo. You're at the beginning. I almost missed you there. Yeah, we have two robot examples. So first off, Alfredo, the girl and a robot. Again, this is our monthly lighting challenge for anyone who hasn't started yet. So the biggest thing about this one about this reference is there are three main value color combinations in this. So there's the bright warms over here, there's the fill cools in here, and then there's the bright cools outside the window. In this iteration here, there's a little bit of that, but there's not. It's not as colorful and well defined. So I like the brightness outside the window, although I can't tell if these dots are on the window or something going on outside. I think they're on the window, but like there's a little confusion there. So I would isolate this bright value just to around them in here, and then allow all of this kind of fill area in through here to go darker and cooler, like something more along like this value, and then allow these tungsten light sources to go even warmer than they are. This is like a nice subtle warmth. I would push it just a little more, so there's like pockets of that warm value in there. And then I think that would structure up well, because one of the things that we really want is we want to kind of frame them in this windowsill. And the only way to do that is to kind of get the light coming in here, make it more like rimmy on them, and then darken some of these values around there. And I think that would work. His suit is looking more Iron Man-y here than I was anticipating, but that's good. All right. And now jump back over to T's. Okay. So we got your reference here. So like just nice, warm, glowy, embrace, softness all around, all that good stuff. So I think in order to do that, we need to push the warmth and push the softness on these lights, like, and allow them to really kind of fill this space a little bit more. Because right now, it feels like it's being lit much more by ambient light and less by these lamps, which may or may not, like, which in this particular case, because they're not that big, like they wouldn't necessarily be like the overall powerful light source in the space, but because of, like, we can expose this up a little bit and just pretend like these guys are really bouncing in here and they can start creating some of the shaping on the characters a little bit. Because, like, again, this is a small bedside lamp, but because that's the main exposure point, this is a long exposure photograph that over exaggerates the value of it in the space. So I think we can do the same thing here, where like you just push the warmth of these, which again make them warmer, onto the characters a little bit more. You will need to put something outside the window, just having them looking out into like blackness, and even if it's like nighttime, just like a night HDRI out there or something, just to kind of really make them feel like there's a world outside that space, even if it's not like well defined and well laid out, but just something more than the dark space out there. And then just look into whatever's going on with the glass. It's more illumination, like self-illuminating, than being transparent. So just double checking on that. All right, and then there's another reference here for you too. Yeah, same thing here. So it's very small, but like these lights are being pushed into space a little more, like, and obviously this is similar to what we were seeing from that's Stephanie's. Who are we looking at? When we were looking at Alfredo's, just like a lot of cool light versus like these warm pockets, and playing off that warm to cool value. Where you like, if you want to go this way, I would definitely push the cool for sure, and push the warmth even stronger than what we're seeing out of those lamps. And then lastly we have Tristan. So I think this is looking pretty good. Just play for a second. I'm brightening it just a touch. I think we can go a little bit more. A little bit more overall glow. And then I think there are just some like little red areas in this might be just because of the color. Like in his eyebrow, there's some like red glowiness, and there's more subsurface on the nose than there needs to be. That feels a little strong. Again, this might just be my tweaking. Let's see if that's, no, it's still kind of there. So I would just watch out for the subsurface there and whatever red values coming through his eyebrows too. And then I would just lift it up a little brighter, just like bring up the exposure a little bit in Nuke if you're using that. And then just add a little bit more diffusion softness to it. Because again, like these are big panel lights that are pretty much shining directly into the camera lens, and there's going to be like a little bit of a lens effect glow to that. But yeah. All right, so I think that is everyone. Oh, we got Vanessa coming in. Right, let's take a look at this real quick. And we'll just bring this guy in here. See if this works. So, tonality-wise, this is feeling pretty good. Colors feel pretty good. I think the cello can go a little warmer. This guy can go a little bit warmer. I think the light, like, do you see how this is like nice and bright and warm kind of on her screen left side? I think I think we go a little bit warmer in there as well. And maybe even wrap the key light around here a slight bit more, like on our edge here. And then the garment, how do we do that? So I'm looking at the garment down here, and it's just feeling a little dusty, dirty to me, and I want to just punch it up a little bit more. I don't want to go too saturated. I don't want to. It's almost like the hem of it feels a little bit too dark, and I just I want to brighten it just a little bit to get that to punch a little bit more. One thing that's always kind of drove me nuts about this chest is that there's a keyhole, but like it just goes to wood. Like I just want that to be darker in there, because that's where a key goes, right? It should be able to go through it. There's no wood there. So I just painted it a black. You could just do something like that, and then I'm wondering if we can't get a touch of specularity on the wall. Like, one of the things that I'm looking at that's nice about this reference is that there is some specular variation in the wall, just because, like, the paint has a little bit of satiny feel to it. And so I'm wondering if we can't get a little bit of a shimmer into this wallpaper here. Just so we can kind of, like a little bit of a ridge with a little bit of shimmer on it, just so it feels a little more tactile, a little bit less flat. Just because it's taking up so much of the space. And all we're getting that is like causing some breakup or some shadows from some of these objects in the pictures, but just getting like a little bit of a fine textural quality to it, I think would be really good. So yeah. All right, I think that is it for today. Does anybody have any questions about anything before we go? Oh, there was one thing that came up that I thought was really cool, and this is totally like nerd stuff, but. In the Nuke Help channel, you can see Michael Callahan here is just like having entire chunks of Nuke, of like gobbledygook script stuff. And that's one of the things that's amazing about Nuke is you can literally just like copy and paste chunks of text into Nuke, and it totally understands it and translates them into notes. So like if I took this and let's see if this works. So if you just take this stuff, and we would do this all the time. And like it now is a stack. Like all I did was Control C, Control V, just like anything else. And you can just like have a grade node, and like if you made your like adjustments to this, you could take that, just hit Control C, and then you can just like email it to each other, and then you can see, get this out of the way, that like, yeah, let's see if I can move that, yeah. You can see that it's like all of the stuff is there, like with white value is the multiplication value, all that stuff. So Nuke is very, very, very smart that way. So if you ever need things to send to each other, again, just copy the node, paste it in a text file, and send it over to somebody. And it can. So that was my thing, because I didn't know if everyone. I mentioned that in the class, but I didn't know if everyone knew that. So it's one of my favorite things about Nuke. So, all right, cool. All right, that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, post them, and I will be checking in throughout the day. So you all have a wonderful time, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, happy lighting, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.